All right, let's do this.
Now, on the property, we have 40 varieties of bamboo. And for those of you who are not real familiar with bamboo, bamboo is the largest member of the grass family. So when you think about bamboo forest, it's a clean material. It does not encourage bacteria. That's why they're making bamboo towels, bamboo sheets, bamboo socks and things. A lot of it is because the fibers, which feel, if you saw the bamboo fibers, it's a cross between silk and rayon. It has an antibacterial quality to it. So bamboo has become very well used, or more used than it ever was. Now, if you notice the rings on it, it's hollow between the rings, so it's a very lightweight material that is very strong. And I've had people from Thailand on my tours, so I love it. They have a couple of, they said if you need a canteen and a pinch, you take your machete and you cut below one of the seams, above one of the seams, punch a hole in it, and it's an instant canteen for water. It's watertight. And then I've had other people say, oh yes, on our stomps in the jungle, if you're camped out at night, you would cut one of those bamboo things and they slit it. They put their rice in it, throw it in the fire because it's still green and it doesn't burn, but it cooks the rice perfectly. You know, it's your on the road rice cooker. No electricity required. Yeah, exactly. That's the way. I'm going to go this way, but I will point out some things. Those trees you see above you are aloe trees. They are from South Africa. They are in their native habitat. They get about 60 inches of rain a year. This, we only get anywhere from 8 to 13 inches, so they still survive. The plants below them these are a variety of agave. And they're called agave attenuata, and that's the bloom that you see, that long thing. Now the thing about agave and aloe is they all look the same in the sense that they are rosette in shape, which means that they are designed to catch all the water that falls on them, whether natural watering, and it channels it right down to the root. But aloe blooms every year, January, February, in that period of time. And it can be very old. We have some very old plants on the property. But agave is called a New World plant. Aloe is Old World plant, but agave, once it blooms, it dies. And that plant that you see there, after the blooming is over, it will die. But what happens in the bloom is little flowerlets fall off, and it propagates itself that way. So the oldest agave we have on the property is about 80 years old. We haven't ever seen one, and it's blooming this year, so that means we won't have anything that'll ever make it to 100, even though it's got the nickname of century plant. The thing about agave, it is very useful. It is, we have sisal agave, which they make sisal rugs from. Rope. That was the first thing that they used it for, is they made sisal rope. We have like tequila agave, which is where your true tequila comes from, which has to be 49% agave juice in order to call real tequila. Yeah. And also it has to be brewed in the state of Jalisco, Mexico, because they've got a trademark to call it tequila. If it is brewed other places, they call it mezcal, but it's still got the same bang for your buck. Okay, we'll walk up toward the house in a little bit. Mr. Huntington loved garden oak trees, and he loved palm trees. Oaks were his first love, palms were his second love. So he planted a palm, which at the time he had about 250 varieties.
Are you recording her speaking?
Yeah.
The particular palm frond, if you see it, is what they call pinnate, which means it's got like feathery leaves that come off the thing. And now this palm over here, if you look at it, it looks like the palm of your hand. That is called palmate. That's the leaf variety. That's a palmate, and those are pinnates. So those are basically the varieties of palm trees. To have something for Palm Sunday, you know, so that was part of their bringing over, like probably grapevines, and But I wanted to point this one out. You see the big pinnate there? That's called a fishtail palm. That's the largest palm tree there is as far as how tall it will grow. I believe they're from Thailand. But they, as you can see, it does look like a fish's tail if you look at the top of it. But whenever you see one of those huge branching things, you'll be able to identify it and just think of it as one of the largest palm trees in existence. Now we'll walk across the country here to the house. To build this house for his residence, and it took 2 years. The architect he used was Myron Hunt, and Myron was very well known locally. He built, he designed and participated in the building of like the Rose Bowl, the Pasadena City Library, just a tremendous number of architectural feats. So he was very, very well known. It's not human, or in the past it hasn't been human enough. This year it changed all that. When you think about it, Mr. Huntington's portico, or his covered pavilion, looked out over his palm garden here, and it's a wonderful, lovely place. You can see why he's so prized. Used for a lot of movies and advertisements and commercials. I think the American or the President's Daughter, let's put it this way. Once you see this, you could be looking at a movie and say, wait a minute, that looks familiar. And it is. And they don't allow weddings, but they do like the income from movies and rentals. It's not a bloom now, but these are clivias, which are the big orange bloomed. Well, you see a few of them in bloom, but they usually bloom early in the spring. That is ornamental ginger. You see that with the little white blooms. Very, very fragrant. Hummingbirds love it. This is lily of the Nile, the purple, which now they have them in white and purple. Another name for it is agapanthus. And for those of you who may have memories like I do, which is I can't think of the name of things, I always think of Agatha Christie, agapanthus, so now I never forget it.
Or too late.
Question? Sure. What's that tree? That is called a Montezuma cypress. That is from Mexico City. That is was brought here by sea in 1914.
Wow.
And the thing about our curator of the Rose Garden, whose name is Claire Martin, he has a philosophy, and he said, all gardens must be anchored by trees. Otherwise, you just have a field of flowers or roses. So these, we have about 3 of these up here. Now this tree that you see here is called a Kauri pine, K-A-U-R-I.
Which one?
This big tall thing. And it is from Australia.
And that's its natural shape? It hasn't been pruned back?
Oh, I imagine, well, I'll tell you what, in 1908, when they got ready to build the house, when they were laying out the thing, this tree was over here, and it was, they could not build with the tree, so they said, well, they would take a gamble, because when they started digging it up, they found out it had a taproot that they couldn't seem to get to the bottom of, so they just cut the taproot, cauterized it, moved it, and said, if it grows, it grows. So it turned out it did. Now this has also got the nickname of the Widowmaker. And last week when I was giving a tour, somebody did find one of the cones, but it produces pine cones that are somewhere between 5 and 10 pounds. And when they come whistling off that tree, let me tell you, you can hear them coming. It's like you're hearing a bomb drop, you know.
Get out of the way.
Exactly. And if you don't, too bad. So anyway, when you look at the leaves of this, because it's called, you know, it has the designation pine tree, leaves of trees have veins in them. You can see the veins, but this doesn't. It's just that every leaf is just very flat and solid. So it's a pine needle. That's a flattened, yeah.
Are you recording this whole thing?